Hi guys, this is Teacher Danny back again. I hope everyone's still doing okay at home. And just wanted to get started this month for our social skills, our friendship skills lesson. We're talking about problem solving. And so I know that problem solving is something new, and it might be something that you guys remember from last year or from other years when we've talked about problem solving, but I just want to get right into problem solving. So, what is a problem? Take a minute and think. What do you think a problem is? Good. A problem is something that needs to be fixed or solved. It's something that is hard for us to understand. So, a lot of times we don't like problems because they're hard. Who has problems? We all have problems. And we have problems every single day. Do you think you only have one problem a day? No. There's lots of problems during the day. And every day our problems are different. We can't always plan for our problems. And a lot of times when they happen, we weren't expecting it. So, what do we do when we have a problem? Well, we fix the problem, of course. And in order to fix a problem, there's 5 easy steps that we can do. 5 steps, and we can solve our problem. Sometimes you go through those steps so fast you don't even think about it. And other times when it's hard and we might need help, then it's really important that we know our 5 steps to solving a problem. So, what's step 1? We said there are 5 steps. Our first step is to identify the problem. Do you know what identify means? Identify is kind of like a science word. It means that we need to name the problem. We need to identify it by naming it and saying, that's it right there. That's the problem. Now we're going to practice identifying the problem. We're just going to practice naming the problem and saying, yep, that's it. That's the problem. So let's try one. Our first problem. Your best friend has a new toy that you really like. You ask to see it and they say no. What's the problem? The problem is you want to see your friend's new toy and they said no. How about our next one? You see your friend whispering to someone else and looking at you. It makes you feel uncomfortable and you don't like it. What's the problem? The problem is your friend is talking and looking at you. That's the problem. Our next problem. Your brother or sister borrowed something from you and hasn't given it back. What's the problem? The problem is you haven't gotten your toy back or whatever they borrowed, you haven't gotten it back. Now let's try some more. Your neighbor's house caught on fire. What's the problem? The problem is their house is on fire. How about this next one? You want to play soccer, but your friends are already playing with the only soccer ball on the playground. What's the problem? Problem could be that someone else has a soccer ball that you want. How about this last one? You don't know how to do your math homework and you're getting frustrated. What's the problem? The problem is you don't know how to do your math homework. So, when we're identifying the problem, we're naming it. We see the problem, we think about it, and we say, what's our problem? Oh, yeah, that's it. Now, step 2. So, we have 5 steps. Step 1 is to identify the problem. Step 2, how big is the problem? We have to see the sides of the problem. So when we were naming our problems, was every problem the same? No, every problem was different. Not every problem is the same, and that means that no two problems are the same size. They don't all have the same answer. We have to think of each one just by itself. And every problem makes us feel different. Some problems might make us feel frustrated. Others could make us feel uncomfortable. Some might make us feel mad. Some might make us feel sad. Every problem makes us feel different. And every problem takes a different amount of time to solve. For example, if my problem is that I can't find my toy, and then I ask someone and they help me find it in 2 minutes, that was an easy problem to fix. That only took 2 minutes. But if your neighbor's house burned down, that would be a really hard problem to fix and it would take a long time. And every problem includes a different amount of people. And this might be hard to understand, but if I hurt my finger, if I'm running and I fall and I hurt my finger, how many people are in the problem? Just one, just me. I was running, I fell, and I hurt my finger. Now, how many people are in a problem if there are two of your friends and they're talking and they're looking at you and you're over and seeing them talk? How many people are in that problem? There are 3 people in that problem. They're your 2 friends, and then there's you. That's 3 people, all in that problem. When we're looking at how big a problem is, we can think about it like a scale. And we could say that there are 5 different sizes of problems. Although to be easy, we can just focus on 3. So a small problem is a problem that you can fix yourself. You don't need to ask help, and you don't need to get really overly emotional about it. You have a small emotion. So it's a problem that you can fix yourself. That does not mean a big emotion. That's a small problem. What's a medium-sized problem? A medium-sized problem is a problem where you might need to ask for help. But when you ask for help, you and that other person will be able to fix it. So a medium problem is not as easy to fix because you need help, but it's going to get fixed and it's going to be okay. Now, what is a big problem? A big problem is a problem that causes a big emotion. And it's a problem that even when you ask for help, it's going to take a lot of, it could either take more than one person or it could take more time to solve. Typically, a big problem is not something that you and a friend can solve. It's something that you have to ask an adult to help you with. So you have to ask an adult, and then they might be able to help you, or they might need to get other adults in to help fix that problem. And it causes a big emotion. So you might get really angry, or people say furious, or you might get super depressed. Those are all big emotions. And now we didn't talk about very small, but a very big problem, that is an emergency. When you have a very big problem, that means you're probably going to need to get help from our helpers like firemen, policemen. Those are emergencies. Doctors can help with that, but they are very serious problems that are big and an emergency. So that's how we think about sizes of a problem. Now let's try practicing, seeing what size those problems that we talked about earlier, what size are they? So your best friend has a new toy and you really like it. You ask to see it and they say no. What size problem is that? Let's think. How would you solve that problem? You could ask your friend again Or you could pick a new toy and see something different. I think that's a small problem. It doesn't make you super, super upset, and it can be solved pretty easily. So that's a small problem. Our next problem. You see your friend whispering to someone else and looking at you. It makes you feel uncomfortable and you don't like it. Let's see, what size problem is that? It's probably also a small problem. You feel uncomfortable, but you could go over and tell them that you don't like that, and you could fix it yourself. You don't need to ask for help to solve that problem. So it's a small problem. You are working on a counting math worksheet and you think it's really easy. So if you're doing a math worksheet and you're counting and you think it's easy and there are lots of different problems on that worksheet, what size problem is that? That's a very small problem. You're not even upset at all. You're not sad, you're not angry, you're just working. That's a very small problem. Your brother or sister borrowed something from you and hasn't given it back. This probably also a small problem. You might feel frustrated, but you could go and ask them, hey, remember when you borrowed that dinosaur? Could I have it back? That's a small problem. Now, if they lose it, then that might be a little bit bigger problem. Your neighbor's house caught on fire. What size problem is this? That is a very big problem. You can't fix that. You can't ask mom or dad to fix that. That is going to need the firemen. It's going to require construction workers to build a new house or to fix that house. It is a very big problem. You want to play soccer, but your friends are already playing with the only soccer ball on the playground. What size problem is that? I think it's a small problem. You could ask your friends if you could play with them. And then, problem solved. You didn't need to ask anyone else to help you to solve that problem. It's a small problem. You don't know how to do your math homework and you're getting frustrated. What size problem is this? This is a medium-sized problem. Because if you don't know how to do your homework, you're going to have to ask somebody. But once you ask someone, like mom or dad or a teacher, they should be able to help you. And it didn't cause a really big emotion. You got frustrated, but not angry. So that's a medium-sized problem. All right, so earlier we said that there are 5 steps to solving a problem. Today, we talked about the first 2 steps. We identified the problem, and that meant to name it. Identify means to name. And we determined how big our problem is. We talked about the size. Is it a small problem, a medium-sized problem, or a big problem? That's all we're doing today. Next week, we'll talk about the other steps in order to solve a problem. So, this week, try to think about your problems and try to solve them. You can talk about what size your problem is, and you can say, wow, this is hard right now. This is a problem. You can identify the problem. Next week, we will talk about some more, or actually not next week, the week after, because next week is spring break. So I hope that all of you guys are doing okay at home, and I hope you enjoy spring break, and I will see you in a few weeks. Bye, guys.